In the middle of Lagos, where traffic could turn saints into sinners, lived a man named Mr. Raymond Ocon, one of Nigeria's youngest billionaires. His neighbor alone could open bank vaults and close mouths. He had everything money could buy: cars that didn't know what fuel scarcity meant, houses that could swallow streets, and a wardrobe that screamed, "Money lives here." But behind all that shine, Raymond was lonely. Deeply lonely. It wasn't the kind of loneliness that a vacation in Dubai or a bowl of afang soup could fix. It was the kind that sat quietly beside you, even when the generator was humming and the TV was showing a comedy show. See, Raymond had met plenty of women, fine girls with lashes long enough to sweep the floor, perfume that could knock out mosquitoes, and voices softer than a gege bread. But after a few dinners, the same question always came up. "So when will you buy me that car you promised?" Or, "Baby, I told wants more land in Lekio." That's when Raymond would sigh and pour himself another glass of disappointment. All his relationships had the one thing in common. They all loved his money, not the man holding it. So one quiet night, Raymond sat alone in his oversized living room, the kind that echoed when you sneezed. He looked around at the expensive furniture, the gold-plated chandelier, and his reflection in the glass table. And then it hit him. Maybe he wasn't unlucky. Maybe he just looked too rich to be loved right. He chuckled bitterly. "If I keep looking like Mungie, the gold diggers go keep finding me." Then came the idea. A wild one. The kind that made even his housekeeper stare when he told her later. He would become a taxi driver. Yes, you heard right. A whole Raymond Ocon, CEO of Ocon Group, driver of Rolls-Royce, now wanted to drive ordinary people around Lagos. The next morning, Raymond drove straight to Ojuelegba and bought the most embarrassing taxi he could find. The car looked like it had fought in 2 world wars and lost both. One headlamp blinked like it was winking, the horn sounded like a dying goat, and the seats smelled like old beans. Face. He dressed the part: faded jeans, a brown t-shirt that had seen better days, and slippers that looked like they'd survived several generations. He looked in the mirror and grinned. "Now I look like someone who will beg for 100 naira balance," he said proudly. And just like that, the billionaire became Ray the taxi driver. At first it was fun. He drove through the madness of Lagos traffic, watching Danfo drivers argue like politicians and passengers fight over 50 naira change. He carried all kinds of people: talkative students, rude madams, and tired workers who used their backseat as a pillow. Some days he found it funny. Other days he wondered what on earth he was doing with his life. Then came Patience, a fine girl from Yaba who entered his cab like he was entering heaven. She smiled sweetly, talked softly, and even called him Uncle Ray. For a while he thought she might be different. But after the third trip, her true colours started shining like generator light after blackout. "Uncle Ray, I beg, I need 5,000 naira to buy medicine for my cousin," she said one day, batting her eyelashes like a Disney princess. Raymond gave her the money, just to see what would happen. 2 days later, she was back. Uncle Ray, you won't believe it, my ferry fell and broke. Just, not 10,000 naira to repair it." By the fourth request, she wanted 50,000 naira for her church Thanksgiving. Raymond almost laughed out loud. "My sister, which kind of church they use 50,000 naira for Thanksgiving? Are you buying salvation in bulk?" He gave her the money anyway, just to confirm what he already knew, and of course just speared faster than PHCN light after rainfall. That night, Raymond sat in his taxi, staring at the steering wheel. "Maybe me be the problem," he muttered. "Maybe true love, nor dear Lagos again." The excitement of his secret life began to fade. The heat, the noise, the lies, everything was starting to feel pointless. For days, he drove around aimlessly, picking random passengers, pretending to smile, pretending to be okay, but deep down, he was tired until one evening, just as the sun melted into the Lagos skyline, he saw a young woman by the roadside. She looked nothing like the ones he had met before. There was something calm, unbothered, and strangely peaceful about her. And right there, without even knowing her name, Raymond felt something stir inside him, something he hadn't felt in a long, long time. The next few days were unusually quiet for Raymond. Every passenger he carried reminded him of that one woman who had simply said, "Thank you, driver," and walked away without a single demand. No fake accent, no "send me small recharge card," no suspicious smiles, just pure, simple peace. He couldn't even explain it. It was like she had left a footprint in his heart, and she didn't even know it. Every evening as he parked his old taxi and counted his daily gain, he'd catch himself smiling for no reason. Then he'd shake his head like, Raymond, what's wrong with you? You don't even know her name." Lagos has a funny way of bringing people back together. One Monday morning, as Raymond battled traffic along Surulere Road, he saw her again, walking briskly under the hot sun, clutching a nylon bag like her life depended on it. His heart skipped a beat. "Na she be this?" he whispered, gripping the steering like he'd just seen treasure. He honked twice and slowed down beside her. Madame, you want to enter? She turned, recognized him, her face lit up like a Christmas bulb. Ah, it's you again, driver, she said cheerfully, opening the door. Raymond's chest did a small bill. It's you again, driver. The way she said it sounded so sweet that he almost forgot his real surname was Ocon, not driver. He smiled back. Lagos is small, or enter Jare, my seat, miss you. She laughed, slid in, and off they went. Her name, as he later found out, was Joy Ikenna. And yes, her name fit her perfectly because from that day she became the little juice of joy he didn't know he needed. Joy worked at a small bakery in Yaba. Every morning she'd leave home early, sometimes skipping breakfast, just to help her younger brother pay his school fees. She didn't complain about her struggles, she laughed through them like life owed her nothing. Raymond was fascinated. Here was a woman who wasn't pretending to be who she wasn't, no fake accent, no my dear voice that switched to bros sent me money by evening. As they drove, she told him little stories, how her landlord threatened to chase them out if rent wasn't complete, how her boss shouted when she burnt bread in the oven, how she once dreamt of owning a small shop, but life no agree yet. And all through, she spoke with warmth, not self-pity. Raymond listened, smiling, sometimes adding small sarcasm to keep the conversation lively. So your boss shout because you burn one small bread? Me, if not me, I'll go tell him the charcoal bread is the new design. Joy burst into laughter. The sound filled the taxi, sweet and soft like music. For the tangents he darted at this whole undercover nonsense, Raymond didn't feel like he was acting anymore. He felt seen. When they reached their stop, she opened a small purse, counted her fare, and handed it to him. Raymond blinked. No, I'll pay you later. No, driver, I beg, manager, am you sure that you be Lagos girl? If I can pay, why won't I? You're working hard too. He watched as she walked away again, her bag swinging, her slippers lapping softly against the ground. There was something about that simplicity that hit him differently. That night, Raymond lay on his bed, the same bed that probably cost more than Joy's entire life dream, but all he could think about was her. God, is this how people fall in love? He muttered, turning restlessly. Because I don't even know her last name and I'm already smiling like a goat. Days turned into weeks and fate became his best friend. He kept meeting Joy on different streets at different times, sometimes early in the morning, sometimes when the sun was too angry, and each time their conversations grew longer, warmer, or personal. They talked about everything, politics, dreams, Lagos, Wahala, even Jolo Cry's recipes. She asked him how driving all day felt, and he found himself confessing things he never told anyone. Sometimes it's tough, he said one evening as a way for traffic to move. People shout, insult you, cheat you, but that's life. You just keep going. Joy smiled and said guffily, You're strong, Ray. That's what matters. Life's not easy, but as long as you have peace, you're already rich. Raymond froze for a moment. That word, peace. He'd spent millions chasing happiness, and here was a woman with dust on her slippers teaching him that peace was free. He couldn't explain the feeling, but from that moment, he was gone. Completely gone. Over the next few weeks, Raymond became Joy's unofficial driver, not that she asked. He just happened to appear whenever she needed a ride. Coincidence, that beg, leave story. He'd drive her to work, sometimes wait till she closed, and they'd chat like two old friends. Each time he found new reasons to like her. Her humility hit him, the way she said I beg when she was embarrassed. But deep down, one question kept eating at him. Would she still love me if she found out who I really was? He'd seen too many fake smiles turn into cricket the moment his name Raymond Ocon entered the conversation. So one humid afternoon while they were stuck in traffic near Ajota, Raymond decided to test her just like he'd done with other women. He sighed loudly and said, Joy, is taxi life no easier? Sometimes I go drive from morning till night, still no getting off for fuel, even to buy Gary's F day hard. Joy turned to him with concern, her eyes soft. Sorry, Lagos is tough, but don't worry, better days will come. He pretended to complain more. He sometimes I even want to just park this taxi and go back to the village, maybe farming better. Instead of pity or disappointment, she laughed lightly. Go away, no small patience you need, might not be everything. Just be happy, you never know what tomorrow fit bring. Raymond looked at her like she was from another planet. No eye roll, no side comment, no God, when will you hammer? Just calm, genuine words. In that moment, something broke and guided him. The billionaire ego, the fear, the pretense. She had passed his test without even knowing she was being tested. He smiled faintly. You're really different, Joy. She shrugged playfully. Now God hand work with that. That night Raymond couldn't sleep. He sat in his massive bedroom, lights dim, fan spinning lazily, and replayed every word Joy had said. She was right, money wasn't everything. Because all the money in his account couldn't buy the peace he felt when she was around. He knew it was time. The secret had lasted long enough. But he was scared. What if she felt betrayed? What if she thought he'd made a fool of her? Still, something inside him whispered, tell her the truth. 3 days later, Raymond invited Joy to meet him at Freedom Park. He arrived early, pacing under a mango tree, heart pounding harder than Lagos drums. When Joy walked in, her face glowing, even in a simple gown, he almost forgot his rehearsed speech. Joy, he began, voice shaking a bit. I need to tell you something important. She blinked. What is it? I'm not really a taxi driver, he confessed, taking a deep breath. My real name is Raymond Ocon. A billionaire. Joy stared at him for a long moment, her expression unreadable. Then she smiled. I already fell for the taxi driver, not the billionaire, she said softly. Raymond froze. You mean that? She nodded. You were kind, humble and real. That's who I fell in love with. The rest? No bonus. For the first time in years, Raymond felt his heart melt completely. It wasn't fireworks or music. It was something quieter, deeper, truer. That gay, under the shade of that mango tree, the billionaire who disguised himself as a taxi driver finally found what all his money couldn't buy. Real love. One sunny Sunday afternoon, Raymond O'Con finally decided it was time to take Joy home. Not to his small rented apartment. Oh no. But to the O'Con mansion. The kind of house that looked like it was built just to make everyone else in the neighborhood feel poor. The kind of place where even the flowers smelled rich. As their car rolled through the tall golden gates, Joy's eyes widened. The compound looked like something out of a Nollywood movie. Fountain in the middle, gardeners in uniform trimming already perfect grass, and two security men standing so straight, you'd think they were auditioning for Best Gatekeeper in Nigeria. But Joy held herself with grace. She wasn't here to be impressed. She adjusted her modest Ankara gown, smiled, and whispered a small prayer under her breath. Raymond noticed the way she carried herself. Simple, calm, confident. And his chest swelled with pride. Babe, relax, he said, his voice warm. They'll love you. If only he knew. Inside the mansion, Chief and Madame O'Con were already waiting in the living room. Madame O'Con looked like wealth itself. Gold bangles, heavy perfume, and that permanent, I smell poverty look rich women sometimes wear unintentionally. Chief O'Con sat in his grand armchair, newspaper in hand, pretending to read, but clearly waiting to size up his son's mystery woman. When Raymond walked in holding Joy's hand, his mother's smile froze like a badly paused video. Oh, Raymond, my son, she said with fake excitement, her eyes flicking over Joy from head to toe like a human scanner. This must be the lady you've been talking about? Yes, Mummy. Meet Joy Collier. The love of my life, Raymond said proudly. Joy smiled politely and greeted them. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, Ma. Chief O'Con nodded slowly, still assessing her like a used car he wasn't sure he wanted to buy. Madame O'Con gestured for them to sit, crossing her legs with royal precision. So, Joy, she began sweetly, tell us about yourself. Where's your family from? From Enugu, Ma. Joy replied gently. My parents are traders. I help my mum at the shop when I'm not at work. That was it. The room went quiet for a second, the kind of silence that says, oh Lord, our son brought home a trader's daughter. Madame O'Con gave a short, nervous laugh that didn't reach her eyes. Oh, that's nice. A hard-working girl. How humble. Raymond, sensing the sarcasm, cut in. Mum, Dad, Joy is amazing. She's kind, honest, and she was there for me when I had nothing. She didn't even know who I really was when we met. She loved me as a taxi driver. That did it. Madame O'Con blinked fast, like she'd just heard a curt word. Taxi driver? She repeated, her tone sharp enough to slice bread. Raymond, you were driving what? Chief O'Con set down his newspaper and sighed deeply. Raymond, you mean to tell me that, all the sophisticated, well-bred women in Lagos, you went to find love inside a taxi park? Raymond clenched his jaw. Dad, with all due respect, I've met rich girls who only saw me as a walking ATM. Joy saw me as a man. Isn't that what matters? Madame O'Con shook her head dramatically. Love doesn't fry plantain, my son. You need someone who fits into your world. Someone who understands your status, your background. Background? Raymond scoffed. So, love now comes with a price tag? Joy sat quietly, her heart pounding. Their words stung, but she refused to cry. She wasn't ashamed of who she was. Chief O'Con leaned forward, his voice firm. Son, marriage is not just about love. It's about alignment, power, class, connection. Joy might be a good person, but she's not our kind of person. That was it. Raymond shot to his feet. Then maybe your kind of person isn't what I need. Because I'm tired of living for appearances. Joy is my happiness, and I won't trade her for anyone. Raymond, don't talk to your father like that, Madame McClellan snapped. He turned to Joy, his voice soft again. Let's go, Joy. We're done here. As they walked out, Madame McClellan's voice echoed behind them. If you leave this house with her, don't bother coming back. Raymond didn't even pause. He held Joy's hand tighter. A few hours later, Raymond's phone buzzed. It was his father. He answered, already knowing what was coming. Chief Ocon's voice was calm, but cold. Since you've chosen that girl over your family, you're cut off. Your bank accounts, company shares, and properties, all gone. You're no longer part of Ocon Holdings. You're on your own. The light went dead. Raymond sat in silence for a moment. Joy touched his shoulder gently. Raymond, I understand if you want to go back, she said softly. I don't want to be the reason you lose everything. Raymond turned to her with a tired smile. Joy, I didn't lose everything. I still have you. And that was that. He moved into her small one-room apartment, a far cry from the marble mansion he grew up in. No chef, no AC that hums like a luxury car engine, just the sweet scent of Joy's cooking, and the sound of laughter in the evenings. Raymond took a job at a neighborhood mechanic workshop, fixing cars with grease-stained hands. It wasn't glamorous, but it was honest work. Sometimes the neighbors would whisper, "Is that not that rich man's son we saw on TV?" Joy would laugh it off. "A bag leaf story," she'd say, handing Raymond a cold bottle of Fanta. And Raymond would grin, looking around their small but warm home. For the first time in years, he felt something money could never buy. Peace. He had chosen love over luxury. And though life was rough, it finally felt real. Weeks rolled by like slow Lagos traffic. Life in Joy's small bungalow was peaceful but heavy, not because of poverty. Joy growed up in it and could survive on pure grit and Gary, but because of what it was doing to Raymond. Raymond Ocon, the once mighty billionaire with assistants he used to open doors before his hands even reached them, was now struggling to fix rusty bolts in a mechanic shop. He still smelled faintly of expensive cologne, but now it mixed with engine oil and frustration. Joy would wake up before sunrise, sweep their tiny compound, boil water on a gas stove that hissed like it was angry, and watch him get ready for another long day. He'd kiss her forehead, smile, and pretend everything was fine. But she could see it, the weariness behind his fake grin. One evening, as the orange sunset poured through their window, Joy couldn't take it anymore. "Raymond," she said quietly, "you don't belong here." He looked up from the old radio he'd been trying to fix. "What do you mean?" Tears filled her eyes. "You've done enough, you left everything for me, but look at you now. You've gone from signing $1 million deals to fixing carburetors. I can't watch you fade like this." Raymond's heart tightened. He fought for this love like a soldier on the front line, and now his own queen was telling him to retreat. "So what are you saying?" he asked softly. "Go back home," she said. "Talk to your parents. Fix things. You deserve better than this, Raymond." He wanted to argue, to tell her that she was the better life he'd chosen, but when he saw her trembling lips, he knew she was speaking from pain, not pride. So, after several sleepless nights of staring at the ceiling fan spinning like a confused compass, he made up his mind. The next morning, Raymond ironed her best shirt, one that still had a faint scent of its old world, and drove back to the Ocon mansion. The security guards blinked in shock when they saw him. One even whispered, "Oh, God, don't return, oh." Chief Ocon sat in his grand office, looking exactly the same, except maybe a little smugger. His grey suit looked like it cost more than Raymond's entire mechanic salary. Raymond," he said, setting down his cup of coffee. "So you finally come to your senses?" Raymond's voice was calm. "Yes, sir. I came to talk." Chief Ocon leaned back, lip was twitching in victory. "I knew you would. Sit down." Raymond sat, and father wasted no time. "You see, my boy, love is good, but legacy is better. You've learned that emotions don't pay bills or build empires." Raymond said nothing. "There's only one way to fix things," Chief continued smoothly. "My business partner, Chief Balogun, has a daughter, Linda, a very decent, cultured young woman from a respected home. We've always planned for this union. You will marry her." Raymond blinked. "Marry her, Dad? No." "Oh yes," his father replied with a cold smile. "If you want to come back into this family, your inheritance, your company shares, your reputation, that's the price." Raymond swallowed hard. He'd expected conditions, but not this. He remembered Linda from years ago, loud, flashy, as materialistic as a reality TV star. She was the total opposite of Joy. The type who posted, "No broke guys allowed," on Instagram. "Dad, Linda isn't the kind of woman I love." Chief Ocon's tone sharpened. You don't need to love her, Raymond. You need to marry her. Love can come later, or not at all. Raymond exhaled. The office felt suffocating. He wanted to walk away again, but Joy's voice echoed in his head. You deserve better. Besser or bisser? He couldn't tell anymore. He left the mansion feeling like a puppet, tangled in invisible strings. That evening he went back to Joy's house. The room smelled of fried plantain and heartbreak. She looked up as he walked in. I went to see my father, he said quietly. Joy froze, spatula still in her hand, and? He agreed to take me back, but on one condition. She didn't need to ask what it was, she saw the answer in his eyes. You have to marry someone else, she said softly. He nodded. It's not what I want, Joy, but I can't keep watching you struggle because of me. Joy's chest tightened. She had told him to fix things, but she hadn't imagined this. Still, she managed a weak smile. Maybe this is how it's meant to be. Don't say that, Raymond whispered, voice cracking. But she said it again, this time with tears in her eyes. Maybe love isn't enough, Raymond. The wedding came faster than a Lagos rumor. It was loud, glittery, and nauseatingly grand. Linda Balogun, now Linda Ocon, floated down the aisle in a gown that could have paid someone's rent for 10 years. Raymond smiled to the cameras, but his eyes were empty. At the reception, Linda showed her true colors. She barked orders at waiters, bragged to guests about her diamond ring, and posed endlessly for photos. So they can see our married well now, she laughed loudly, clinking her glass. Raymond sipped his champagne, already missing the days of Joy's simple jollof rice and pure laughter. After the wedding, Raymond assumed they'd get their own place, start afresh, live quietly, but Madame Ocon had other plans. You will stay here in the family mansion, she announced, at least till Linda adjusts. Linda adjusted all right into full-blown Madame of the house mode. She didn't lift a finger. The maids did everything from washing her clothes to holding her handbag when she went out. She'd wake up at noon, order breakfast in bed, and spend hours online shopping. Raymond, meanwhile, buried himself in work just to stay sane. Every night, he'd come home to a wife who cared more about her next designer bag than her husband's peace of mind. Madame Ocon was secretly disappointed too. She'd wanted a daughter-in-law who'd help her manage the home, not one who thought washing dishes was a human rights violation. But she kept quiet. After all, Linda's father was their biggest business partner. Meanwhile, across town, in a small house with creaky floors and a flickering bulb, Joy sat on her bed staring at the test result in her trembling hand. Positive. 5 months pregnant. Her world stopped. She hadn't noticed the sign. Her period had been irregular and she assumed it was stress. But now it was clear she was carrying Raymond's child. For hours, she sat in silence, her tears soaking her pillow. How would she tell him? Could she even tell him? He was married now, to another woman, living in the same mansion she once told him to return to. God, what have I done? He whispered. Joy knew that calling him would only cause chaos. His parents would never accept her, and Linda would probably tear the house down. So she made a choice. She would raise the baby alone, quietly, with dignity. Every night she rubbed her belly and whispered softly, "You'll know your father was a good man. He just got lost trying to make everyone happy." And somewhere across the city, in a mansion full of gold and emptiness, Raymond lay awake staring at the ceiling, wondering why the sound of luxury suddenly felt so hollow. He didn't know it yet, but a new chapter of his story was already growing inside the woman he'd left behind. Even though, by now, Raymond Ocon had everything a man could have, wealth, cars, a mansion big enough to host a wedding every weekend, yet his heart was emptier than a greedy man's promise. He couldn't stop thinking about Joy Okoli, the woman who made him believe love was still real. Every night, he found himself staring at the ceiling, asking himself the same question. Can I actually survive without this girl, Grace? After weeks of restlessness, Raymond finally drove back to the old neighborhood where he and Joy had once struggled together. The street looked smaller now, quieter, like time had swallowed their memories. He asked around, hoping someone had seen her. But the answers were always the same. "Ah, Oga, that fine girl don't pack go. Nobody know where she waka go." It hit him like a punch to the chest. Joy was gone. Raymond stood there, feeling like a ghost in his own life. He had left behind a woman who loved him, only to end up with Linda, the billionaire's daughter his father handpicked for him. The mansion that once felt like a dream now felt like a golden prison. Fancy walls, expensive furniture, but cold silence everywhere. and Linda's attitude wasn't helping. Linda was beautiful, yes, but she was also the type of woman who believed hard work meant calling the cook to reheat her food. Her life revolved around luxury perfumes, long nails, and louder gossip. If money had a face, Linda was its poster girl. Meanwhile, Joy was fighting her own silent battle. She had found out she was pregnant 5 months gone, and a visit to the clinic confirmed what she'd feared. Her friend, Mandy, nearly screamed when she found out. "Joy, you did threes? You unborn billionaire pig in the no tell Joy wiped her eyes and whispered, "Mandy, I can't. He's married now. I won't destroy his home." "Destroy what home?" Mandy shouted back. "The man we're dumpy for that Instagram wife, babe, wake up. You better tell him before hunger finish you in the picking." But Joy only smiled faintly. "God will provide, he always does." Mandy rolled her eyes dramatically. "God will provide, but at least tell human beings too." Still, Joy refused. Her faith was her only shield. She believed somehow, some way, she and her baby would be okay. Back at the Ocon mansion, drama was growing. Raymond's mother, Madame Comfort, was done pretending. She had tolerated Linda's laziness long enough. The woman couldn't even boil water without risking national disaster. So when her husband announced he was hosting a big dinner for his business partner, Madame Ocon smiled slyly. "Darling," she said sweetly, "why don't we let Linda handle the cooking? You know, to show our guests what a capable wife she is." Raymond's father, Chief Ocon, beamed with pride. "Brilliant idea. My daughter-in-law should showcase her talents." Raymond nearly choked on his drink. "Talents? Mama, which talent?" But it was too late. The plan was sealed. The big dinner day came. Linda strolled into the kitchen in a designer gown and 6-inch heels, looking like she came to model cookware, not use it. She stood there, staring at pots and pans as if they were ancient artifacts. Where's the button that turns on this stove again?" she asked a maid. The maid, under strict instructions from Madame Ocon, replied politely, "Madame, we no fit help. Madame say you go cook yourself." Linda froze. "Excuse me, I'm supposed to cook? As in with fire and ingredients?" The maids exchanged glances, whispering prayers that the mansion would not go up in flames. Determined to impress, Linda rolled up her sleeves, well, kind of. Her gown didn't allow much movement, and got to work. She decided to make a goose soup, something she had seen her chef whip up in 5-star restaurants. Halfway through, she got confused. Which one comes first, oil or water? Pepper before Maggie or Maggie before pepper? In her panic, she opened the fridge and found a bottle of beer. "Oh, this will add flavour," she said proudly, and just like that, she poured beer into the pot like it was palm wine at a village festival. Hours later, she called for help. "Soup is ready!" When the food was served, the aroma filled the air, and not in a good way. Chief Ocon smiled proudly as he raised his spoon, but the moment he tasted it, his expression changed faster than a traffic light in Lagos. He coughed, eyes wide, and reached for water. "What in God's name is this? It tastes like brewery stew!" Raymond tried his best to hide his laughter, but one of the guests whispered loudly, "Chief, are we eating soup or drinking beer?" Soon the table turned into a war zone. Guests coughed, grimaced, and politely pushed their plates away. Raymond's mother sat back, sipping her juice with the calmness of a queen who had just won a silent battle. When the guests finally left, embarrassed, disappointed, and hungry, Chief Ocon exploded. "Who cooked this nonsense?" Before he could fire half the staff, Madame Ocon stepped in with a smirk. "It wasn't the cook, darling. It was your precious daughter-in-law." He could have heard a pin drop. Chief Ocon turned to Linda, disbelief written all over his face. "You mean you can't cook ordinary soup?" Linda stammered, "It's not ordinary soup, Daddy. It's fusion." "Fusion my foot!" Chief Ocon barked. "You've embarrassed me in front of my partners. Even my driver cooks better." That day, the illusion shattered. The same man who once defended Linda's every flaw finally saw the truth. She was a luxury doll in human form. Days turned into weeks, and the mansion grew colder. Raymond avoided Linda completely. He spent nights sitting by the pool, staring into the water, thinking of Joy, her laughter, her faith, her simplicity. One night, Linda snapped. She barged into his room, wearing her usual silk robe and attitude. "Raymond, what is wrong with you? You don't talk to me? You don't touch me? You treat me like a stranger in my own house." Raymond looked at her, calm but cold. "Because you are one." Linda gasped. "Excuse me?" He stood up, finally tired of pretending. "This marriage was never my choice. It was a business deal, not love. You don't love me, and I don't love you. Let's stop acting like we do." Her jaw dropped. "So you're kicking me out?" Raymond didn't flinch. "Is that what it takes for peace, yes?" Linda, shaking with rage, grabbed her phone and dialed her father, Chief Balagun, a man whose temper could start a war. "Daddy," she cried to the phone, "your son-in-law has insulted me. He said he never loved me and wants me out of his house." The line went silent for a second. Then a low, dangerous voice replied, "Tell him he just picked a fight with the wrong family." And just like that, the real storm began. The morning after Raymond told Linda to leave his house, the entire mansion felt like a war zone. Linda's father, Chief Balagun, was not the type of man who accepted humiliation, especially when it involved his only daughter, the precious jewel of Balagun Holdings. By 10 a.m., the man stormed into Chief Okon's office at Victoria Island, Lagos, wearing his usual adorned agbada so wide it could shade a small car. He didn't even sit down properly before launching into fire and thunder. "Chief Okon, let me not waste your time. If your son dares throw my daughter out, every single one of my contracts with your company will vanish by tomorrow morning. I mean it." The room went cold. Chief Okon, who had built his empire on that partnership, felt his heart skip. He tried to calm the situation. "Chief, please, calm down. You know these young people, sometimes emotions." "Emotions, my foot," Chief Balogun thundered, banging the table. "If that marriage fails, your company fails. My daughter will not be disgraced. I will not have people whispering that Linda Balogun was dumped like a bag of gaddy." The threat hit home. Chief Okon knew what that meant. Massive financial losses, investors panicking, and board members chewing his name like suya at a beer joint. He forced a smile, though his head was pounding. No, Chief Balogun, that will never happen. My son will stay in this marriage. I give you my word." Chief Balogun adjusted his agbada, gave a long hiss, and left, leaving behind a smell of expensive cologne and raw anger. That evening, Chief Okon called Raymond into his study. "Raymond, sit down." The tone was sharp, not fatherly, not friendly. Raymond knew this was not a good sign. "What's this I hear about you sending Linda out of the house? Father, Don't interrupt me," Chief Okon snapped. "Do you know what you've done? Chief Balogun came to my office this morning threatening to ruin us. You think this marriage is about love? No, my son. It's about business. Without that partnership, everything I've worked for will collapse." Raymond stared at his father, disbelief written all over his face. "So my happiness doesn't matter?" "Not when it threatens the empire." And that was it. Raymond realized he was trapped, a rich prisoner locked in a mansion built by other people's ambitions. Linda, on the other hand, was in high spirits. She called her friends that night, bragging that her father had handled things. She laughed loudly, wine glass in hand, feeling like a queen who had just conquered her kingdom back. But deep down, she knew the truth. She could win every battle, but she could never win Raymond's heart. While the rich people were playing emotional check in their marble mansions, life was moving quietly in a jar market, where Madame Comfort Okon, Raymond's mother, loved to buy her vegetables. It was one of those sunny Lagos afternoons, the type where the air smells like fried plantain, diesel fumes, and garlic. Mama Comfort, dressed simply with her head tied neatly, moved from one stall to another, bargaining with her usual energy. But something made her pause. Across the street, by a stall filled with ripe tomatoes, stood a woman she almost didn't recognize. Thin, tired, but with a familiar face. It was Joy Okoli. Mama Comfort froze, her eyes widened. Joy's belly was heavy, not like food, but pregnancy. Big pregnancy. The type that comes with swollen feet and short breaths. "Jesus Christ of Nazareth," Mama Comfort whispered, clutching her bag. Joy turned, and when their eyes met, silence fell between them. It was like time stopped. Finally, Mama Comfort walked up to her, her voice trembling. "Joy, my daughter, is this you?" Joy tried to smile. "Good afternoon, Ma." "Afternoon, Joy, you're pregnant?" Joy nodded quietly. "For who?" Joy hesitated. Then she said softly, "Les Raymonds." Mama Comfort blinked twice. "They?" "Twins," Joy replied. "A boy and a girl." For a moment, Mama Comfort's brain refused to compute. Then the tears came. Hot, unstoppable tears. "My God! You mean my son has been moving around moody, and my grandchildren are right here suffering with you?" Joy lowered her gaze, ashamed. "I didn't want to ruin his marriage, Ma. I didn't want to bring shame." "Shame quoi?" Mama Comfort wiped her eyes dramatically. "The only shame is that my grandchildren are inside your belly while you're walking under sun like this." Without wasting another second, she grabbed Joy's hand. "Let's go. Pack your things. You're not staying here another night." Joy's small apartment in Okota was heartbreaking. The roof leaked, the curtains whirled, and the place smelled faintly of dampness and struggle. A small fan squeaked in the corner like it was begging for retirement. Mama Comfort looked around and felt a wave of guilt wash over her. "Shinake God," she muttered, "and my son allowed this?" Joy looked embarrassed. "Ma, please, don't feel bad. I'm fine. And besides, Raymond wasn't aware." "Fine? You call this fine?" "No, my dear, you're moving out today." Within the hour, they packed Joy's few belongings, mostly baby clothes, one old suitcase, and Bible so used it had tape on the spine. Mama Comfort drove her straight to one of her unused properties, a mansion in Lekki she barely visited. When Joy stepped inside, she froze. Marble floors, gold-framed mirrors, and the air conditioning so cold it felt like winter in Abuja. "Ma, this place is too much," Joy whispered. "Too much? I beg, hush that mouth," Mama Comfort replied. "You're carrying royal blood in that stomach. You deserve comfort." Joy's eyes filled with tears. "Thank you, Ma." Mama Comfort smiled, brushing her shoulder. "Thank me by giving me my grandchildren safely, okay? Anything you need, food, clothes, doctor, name it, you'll have it. You're not alone again." She meant every word. Within days, she assigned Joy a maid and a driver. She even brought in a nurse to check on her twice a week. Every morning, she'd visit with fruits and gist, making Joy laugh until her sides hurt. For the first time in months, Joy slept peacefully. Back at the Okon mansion, everyone noticed the change in Mama Comfort. The woman who used to sigh every 5 minutes because of Linda's laziness now hummed gospel songs while walking around the house. Linda found it suspicious. "Mummy, why are you always happy these days? Did someone dash you money?" Mama Comfort laughed. "Something like that, my dear. God just decided to bless me." Even Raymond noticed. She went out often, came back smiling, sometimes smelling faintly of baby lotion. One evening, he asked her directly, "Mum, what's going on? You're glowing these days. Did you win the lottery?" Mama Comfort chuckled, her eyes twinkling. "Maybe I did. But don't worry, my son. You'll find out soon." He stared at her curiously. She just smiled wider. "Let's just say, a surprise is cooking, and it's going to change everything." If only he knew that the surprise was 2 babies with his exact smile and dimples waiting to be born. Mama Comfort kept her secret like a treasure, visiting Joy quietly, preparing baby clothes, and counting down the days. For her, this was more than redemption. It was hope, laughter, and the promise of new beginnings. Little did she know, our secret wouldn't stay hidden for long. 4 weeks later, the long-awaited miracle finally arrived. Joy screamed through the last wave of pain, and within minutes, the hospital room was filled with the cries of 2 tiny babies, a boy and a girl. The nurses smiled, and one of them said cheerfully, "Madam, congratulations, you done born president and vice president." Joy was too weak to laugh, but tears of joy rolled down her cheeks as she looked at the 2 little faces staring back at her. Their tiny fingers wrapped around hers like they had been waiting all their lives just to touch her. All the hardship, the hunger, the lonely nights, it all melted away in that moment. Meanwhile, Madam Comfort Okon, Raymond's mother, was on cloud 9 when she received the call. Her joy nearly burst through the roof. She screamed so loud that her driver almost dropped his car keys. "My grandchildren done land," she shouted, dancing around her living room in her housecoat. But of course she wasn't about to tell her husband yet. That man could turn good news into boardroom strategy if given a chance. No, this surprise needed perfect timing. So that morning, she played her cards well. She called Raymond and said in her calm, innocent tone, "Raymond, my son, come with me. I'm going to visit a friend at the hospital. She just delivered. You should come and say hello. It will lift your spirit." Raymond, who had noticed his mother's suspicious happiness over the last few weeks, gave her a side eye. "Mummy, which friend again? You've been visiting people since last month. I hope it's not one of your church members that want you to be godmother again." Madam Comfort only smiled, holding her bag tightly. "Just drive, Raymond. You will soon see." They arrived at St. Mary Hospital. Clean walls, the smell of disinfectant mixed with jollof rice from the canteen. Raymond followed behind his mother, still confused but curious. As they turned into a private ward, he froze. There she was, Joy, sitting on the hospital bed, her face glowing softly despite the tiredness. In her arms were 2 tiny bundles wrapped in pink and blue. For a moment, Raymond forgot how to breathe. His mother's voice sounded far away when she said, "Son, meet your children." He blinked, stunned. "My what?" Madam Comfort smiled proudly, tears in her eyes. "You're twins, Raymond. A boy and a girl. I found Joy at the market months ago, pregnant and alone. I couldn't tell you because I wanted you to see them with your own eyes." Raymond's knees buckled slightly. His heart raced. He took 2 shaky steps toward Joy, staring at the babies as if they were ghosts of his past love made flesh. He touched the little boy's cheek, warm, soft, alive. Then the girl's tiny fingers gripped his thumb, and that was it. The dam broke. He knelt beside Joy's bed, tears rolling freely. "Joy, I'm so sorry," he whispered. "I left you to suffer. I let you go when I should have fought harder. I never knew you were pregnant." Joy smiled weakly. "It's okay, Raymond. You did what you had to do. I survived. We survived." Raymond kissed her forehead. "Never again. I'll make it right. For you, for them, for us." The day Joy and the twins were discharged, Raymond's excitement was uncontrollable. He drove straight home, his mind buzzing. His father needed to see them, his grandchildren, and Raymond wasn't going to waste another second. When they got home, he found his father, Chief Orphan, in his study as usual, buried in contracts and investment files like they were scripture. "Oh, but please, I need you to come with me," Raymond said. Chief Orphan didn't even look up. "To where, Raymond? I have meetings in 30 minutes. "This one is important, sir. Very important." Chief sighed, adjusted his glasses, and looked at his son. Something in Raymond's tone made him pause. After a long silence, he stood. "All right, lead the way." The drive was quiet. The tension in the air could slice bread. When they reached one of Madam Comfort's mansions, Chief Orphan frowned. "What are we doing here?" Raymond simply opened the door and said, "You'll see." As they entered the living room, Chief Orphan stopped dead in his tracks. There, sitting on a couch, with a smile of quiet peace, was Joy, holding two tiny babies. For a few seconds, Chief couldn't speak. Then Raymond, standing beside him, said quietly, "Dad, meet your grandchildren." The words hit him like a thunderbolt. He took slow steps toward them, his chest tightening. The twins were asleep, their little faces angelic. One had his eyes, and the other had Madam Comfort's nose. His throat closed up. "My God," he whispered, "twins." His wife smiled through tears. "Your first grandchildren, Chief." The old man's hands trembled as he touched the baby's tiny fingers. Emotional tone. The old man's hands trembled as he touched the baby's tiny fingers. He turned to Joy, guilt flooding his eyes. "My daughter, I wronged you. I wronged you badly. Please forgive me. I didn't know. I didn't know you carried my legacy in your womb." Joy's eyes softened. "Sir, it's in the past. I just want peace." Firm, grateful, Chief Orphan nodded. "And you shall have it. From today, this house is yours. These children are mine. My blood, my pride, my future." Foreboding, mysterious. But peace never lasts long in the Orphan mansion. Linda Balogun, Raymond's former wife, had the instincts of a cat and the temper of thunder. And lately, she'd been noticing too many mysteries. Curious, building suspense. For weeks, Raymond, his mother, and his father had been sneaking out of the house like secret agents. Every day, they had somewhere to go. No one told her where. They'd return smiling like they'd just watched a comedy show. Light sarcasm. At first, Linda didn't care. She was too busy ordering designer bags and posting motivational quotes you didn't live by. But soon, curiosity turned into suspicion. Whisper with a hint of conspiracy. "Every day they're going out together," she muttered one morning while scrolling through her phone. "Abby, they joined secret society?" Commanding, unable to take it anymore, Linda cornered the family's gatekeeper, Baba Vera, a man who had worked for the Orphans since the days of cassette tapes. "Sweet, persuasive Baba Vera," she said sweetly. "Tell me where these people keep going every day. I'll make it worth your order." Reluctant, nervous, the man scratched his head. Madam Morga, se meka no togo. Threatened at arms. Linda crossed her arms. "So you've joined them in keeping secrets from me too, huh? Okay, when Chief comes back, I'll tell him you've been drinking on duty." Panicked confessional. Baba Vera's face changed. "Madam, no, okay, I go tongue. But please no mention my name." Shocked, angry. Linda's jaw dropped. "Wait, you mean Joy-born twins? And everybody knows except me?" Defeated, begging, nodded. "Yes, madam, please don't." Furious, Linda stormed away, her eyes red. Determined, she barged into her room, grabbed her phone, and called her father. "Daddy, you've been playing me for a fool," she said. Escalating tension. Mr. Balogun listened as his daughter ranted about Raymond's betrayal. Grave, serious. Within minutes, he was on the phone with Chief Orphan. "Chief, you allowed your son to humiliate my daughter. You people have been hiding a whole set of twins from us. This is war. I'm pulling out of every deal we have together." Calm, resolute. Chief Ocon replied, "Do as you wish, Mr. Balagan. We have what money can't buy. Peace, love, and legacy. Keep your business, we'll keep our family." He hung up. Authoritative. That evening, Chief Ocon summoned Linda to the living room. Raymond stood beside his parents. Cold, final. Chief's voice was cold. "Linda, I think it's time you leave. Pack your things and go back to your father's house. You've caused enough chaos in this family." Defiant, shocked. Linda's eyes widened. "Excuse me? You can't just throw me out like that." Firm, resolved. Raymond spoke. "We already did." Linda said, "You people think you can embarrass me? Me, Linda Balagan? You'll regret this." Cool, unwavering. Chief said, "We already regretted inviting you, didn't?" Efficient, concluding. Two else appeared with their bags already packed. Angry exit, Linda stormed out, slamming the door. She went back to her father's mansion. Peaceful, content. At the Ocon estate, peace returned. Raymond and Joy held their twins close. A few months later, the sun was setting behind the Ocon estate, painting the sky in gold and orange. The gentle breeze carried the sound of laughter from the garden. The twins were playing with their grandmother, while soft jazz played from the balcony speakers. Inside, two powerful men sat face to face in the grand living room, a bottle of aged wine between them. Chief Ocon poured the ruby-red liquid into two crystal glasses and smiled. "It's been a while, Balagan. I wasn't sure you'd come." Chief Balagan chuckled, rubbing his grey beard. "Ah, Godwin, even lions must drop their pride sometimes. That's why I'm here." They both raised their glasses and took a sip, the kind of slow, deliberate sip that came with years of shared history. For a moment, silence filled the room. Not the awkward kind, but one thick with reflection and unspoken memories. Then Balagan cleared his throat, leaning forward. "Ocon," he began, his tone softer than usual, "I've been meaning to say this for weeks. I didn't pull out of our business deal because I suddenly became kind. No. I stopped the madness because I realized I was the one at fault all along." Chief Ocon raised an eyebrow, curious, but silent. Balagan continued, his voice laced with regret. "You see, I was the one who dragged my daughter into our friendship. I thought pairing her with your son would make our bond stronger. I was blind to what she truly was, proud, arrogant, and careless. No man could stand that girl's attitude. I saw the signs, but I ignored them because she's my blood." He shook his head slowly. "I knew her all along, that I was only looking for an escape route for her. That was the reason for my action. I wanted her to get married by all means. I was told of how she mocks your family. I knew I had failed, not as a businessman, but as a father." Chief Ocon sighed deeply, setting his glass down. "Balagan, we all make mistakes. I once thought money could buy peace too. It took almost losing my son and my legacy to learn otherwise." Balagan smiled faintly. "You were right, my friend. You see, I built empires, signed contracts worth billions, that I never learnt humility until now. Watching how you handled everything, you didn't fight me back when I threatened to withdraw our partnership. You didn't curse me, didn't insult me. You simply walked away in peace. That moved me." He took another sip, his eyes misty. "I realized you're not just a wise man, Ocon. You're a rare one. You never bragged about your huge involvement and sacrifices that made me who I am today. I would not have been this wealthy if you hadn't stood by me in those years." Chief Ocon smiled, rating his glass once more. "That's the secret, my friend. In life, when you protect peace, blessings protect you in return." Balagan nodded slowly, his voice breaking slightly. "Thank you, my brother, for not destroying me when you had the chance, for the patience, the wisdom, and the forgiveness I didn't deserve." The two men clinked glasses. Outside, laughter rang again, the sound of innocent joy, the sound of the next generation. Chief Ocon turned toward the window and said quietly, "You see those children out there? They're our true investments. Everything else will fade. What we build in them, that's what lasts forever." Balagan smiled, watching the twins run into Raymond's arms. "You're right, Godwin. Perhaps it's not too late for me to start again. Not as a businessman, but as a father." They both laughed, a deep, heartfelt laugh that echoed through the mansion, like old music rediscovered. That night, they toasted again, not to contracts or wealth, but to forgiveness, friendship, and second chances. Hello, besties. What a powerful twist, right? From pride to peace, it's a reminder that forgiveness is wealth money can't buy. Sometimes life teaches us that humility can rebuild what ego destroyed. Moral lesson? No matter how far we rise, let's never let pride be louder than wisdom. Because in the end, relationships are more valuable than riches. If you enjoyed this part, don't forget to like, share, and drop a comment in your own language. Tell me what lesson you picked from today's story. And if you're new here, subscribe and turn on the notification bell, because the next episode will be hotter than pepper soup. See you in the next one, besties.